Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. This is the mock that a lot of you have been waiting for, Mock Draft 2.0, and let's check it out. First off, we're going to start off with Tui Pelotu. Actually, before I jump into that, I do want to point out that I did trade the first round pick that the Saints had. They had the 29th pick in the draft. I traded that to the Titans in this mock draft. Gave them the 29th pick, the 148th pick, which is a 6th rounder. And I moved back to the 41st pick, but also moved up in the 3rd round just because I didn't feel like the guys at, 28, 29 in the Saints range was worth picking right there. So I just moved back, gained the 3rd rounder, and we'll talk about that a little later. Now, he comes from USC. Guy 6'4", 290 pounds. That's what he's listed at. Only 20 years old, which is very, very interesting. Only 20 years old. Birthday's not until September. So when he gets drafted, when he's playing in the NFL, he'll only be 20 years old at that size. That's just absolutely crazy. This guy produced at USC like no other. His sophomore season, 7.5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. His junior season, he went absolutely crazy, and this is why he declared for the draft, just because my man finished with 22 tackles for loss, 13.5 sacks. That's absolutely outstanding numbers playing in the Pac-12 over there. He was just a wrecking ball, creating havoc all over the place. Dude is really, really good. He can kind of play defensive tackle. He can play defensive end. He's very versatile. The Saints have been drafting these guys that's kind of built like him. The Davenports, the Peyton Turners. Obviously, it hasn't worked out. But then you got Cam Jordan that obviously has worked out. So I think this guy would be a very, very good fit for the Saints. He's produced in college. The thing about Davenport, the thing about Peyton Turner, those guys were always going to be projects. This guy produced in college. He has the numbers. He has the sack total. He has the size. He has everything. I think that'll be a good first pick for the Saints. Then right after that pick, we're going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama. PFF gives this grade a D, but I don't give a hell, what PFF thinks. This guy, also a 20-year-old, played at 2 different schools, played at Georgia Tech and played at Alabama. At Georgia Tech, he averaged over 5 yards per carry for his freshman and sophomore year there. Obviously, he's a very, very good running back, very talented guy. When he got to Alabama, he ran for 925 yards, averaged over 6 yards per carry, which is very, very elite. And the biggest thing I like about Jahmyr is that his catches increased from his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Freshman year, 24 catches. Sophomore year, 35 catches. And junior year, 44 catches. This guy's elite. Out the backfield, can run between the tackles, can catch it out the backfield. I would love to see him and Kamara in the same backfield with Taysom Hill in the package. Rashid Shaheed coming on jet sweeps. It could just be so amazing. The guy's absolute stud. If the Saints draft him right there, I'll be super, super glad with it. Next up, Darnell Washington, tight end from Georgia. Now, this guy could be the sleeper of the draft. He honestly can. 6'7", 270, that's what he's listed at. He might be even bigger. Dude, super athletic. Basically a right tackle out there. He was a 5-star in high school, a top 15, 20 player coming out of high school. And honestly, only reason why he didn't produce more at Georgia, which he finished with 28 catches, 450 yards this year, is because he's behind Brock Bowers. And that guy is probably a top 5 tight end in the world right now. Not in college football, in the world. I honestly can't think of 5 tight ends I may take over him right now. He's that good. And Darnell Washington, unfortunately, had to play behind that guy. But still an elite talent, in my opinion. The Saints could do a lot of different things if they were to draft this guy. We usually bring in that extra tackle package. We know Trevor Penning did it this season when he was coming back from injury. Just imagine if you have Darnell Washington there. He's basically an extra tackle already, but now you can still throw off of that. You can still play action off of that. He can go off of routes, obviously, because he's a tight end, and he's great at blocking. The Saints haven't had a blocking tight end, maybe ever, if we're being honest. Not a guy that can actually block and go off of routes. We've had from Jimmy Graham to we now on the team now Jawan Johnson and Troutman. Those guys are good receiving threats, but we never really had a guy that could just, stick his nose in there and block. Darnell Washington would do that. And then what everybody's been waiting for, Hendon Hooker, quarterback from Tennessee. The Saints take a quarterback in this mock draft. Now, Hendon Hooker, he's played at 2 different colleges, Virginia Tech and Tennessee. That's good. He has learned 2 different offenses in college. He's probably going to have to learn a new one if he played for the Saints. So that's just 3 different offenses. You need your quarterback to be smart, being able to, learn these offenses on the fly, especially if you're going to come in, and try to play right away. So the Saints draft Hendon Hooker. Let's talk about his stats a little bit. Man, he threw for just about 3,000, right under 3,000 his junior year, and then over 3,000 his senior year at Tennessee. Both, finished around 30 touchdowns per season. He was absolutely balling this year. Was up for the Heisman. Probably would have won it if he didn't tear his ACL. Honestly, now obviously he's coming off the ACL injury, so that's going to be a little sketchy. The biggest thing I liked about him was junior year, threw 3 interceptions. Senior year, only threw 2 interceptions. That's what you want from a quarterback, a guy that's not turning the ball over, a guy that can throw the ball, make the right reads, make the right throws. I haven't did a deep dive on this guy yet, so I'm not going to pretend I know every pro and con about him, but I did watch a couple games from Tennessee, and man, the dude was absolutely baller. Also, he ran the ball for 600 yards and 430 yards his 2 seasons at Tennessee, finished with 25 career rushing touchdowns and 80 career passing touchdowns. So obviously he has all the stats, all the accolades. The dude can be an absolute beast if he gets to the right system, if he gets the right team to develop him. Now, I won't go into detail about the rest of these picks. I'll just kind of talk about them briefly. We got in the 4th round, safety, Jair Brown from Penn State. The Saints are probably going to be in the market for a safety. With Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May, those guys can't play forever. Getting up there in age, you kind of bring a guy in at that safety position to help them out. Then you have cornerback Julius Brents. Don't quite know what we're going to do at Roby. Adebo had an off year. Alontae Taylor, Marshawn Lattimore obviously are pretty good. But as we saw last year, man, you could never have too many corners because Lattimore was out, Alontae was out, Adebo was out. So drafting a corner that late, I wouldn't be mad at it. And then Taron Vincent, defensive tackle, Ohio State. Defensive tackles were very, very bad last season for us. Get some help in there. And then you got Jerome Carvin, Tennessee, a guy that played with Hendon Hooker. But you just can never have too many guard help. You need a interior lineman, need tackles. You're going to need a lot of those guys because those injuries were piling up for us. And I think that'll wrap it up. PFF gave this a B. Honestly, I think if the Saints came out with this, I'll give them maybe a B+ right here. I would not be mad if this draft turned out like this. Now, I do have another mock coming. It's probably going to drop today. It's probably going to drop tomorrow. But another mock draft is coming. Don't want to ruin it. It's going to be another quarterback drafted as well. It's already done. It's already taken care of. And tune in. I might drop it today. I might drop it, back-to-back mocks. But man, this draft, we get an edge rusher, a guy that's got sacks. You got a running back, a guy that's produced at the highest level for Alabama. You got a tight end, a guy I think has a lot of ability. Didn't really get the short in Georgia's offense, like I said, because of Bowers and because they were so good. Then you got Hendon Hooker, a guy that, a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on social media want. So, had to do a mock draft with him. Jair Brown, a safety, a corner, another defensive lineman, and a guard. I think that'll be a super, super good draft for the Saints. You're getting a running back, a tight end, a quarterback. Maybe they could have snuck a receiver in this draft. Maybe I could have drafted a receiver, but I like this draft for the Saints. If it comes out like this, hey, so be it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below about this mock draft. As always, this is the Boo Tragedies, and I'm out.